So if your truth is I'm not good enough, what's the evidence for you're not good enough? Anyone? If my belief is I'm not good enough, I need to be better, I need to get better, what's the evidence for that? Huh?
Not perfect.
What does the word perfect mean?
Yeah.
Greek defined it as whole.
It means to be whole or complete. But that's not your definition of perfect, is it? It means to not ever mess up. Have you met anybody who's gone through without messing up?
No.
Okay. So if my goal is to do something I'm incapable of doing, I'm going to fail. I say this to golfers all the time. I say, if you don't ever want to hit another bad golf shot, I can show you how to do that. Don't quit. But if you're going to play, you're going to hit a bad shot. Okay? What I would suggest, if my goal is to not make a mistake, then the best way of doing that is to do nothing. Right? If my goal in life is to not screw anything up, the best way to accomplish that is to do nothing.
Which is back to the fear.
Which goes back to the fear. Yes. But I really want you guys to think about again, what is it I'm afraid of? How does that manifest itself? And what are the fundamental beliefs that I have about myself? Starting with, do you believe that you're enough, that you're good enough? Or do you believe that you're not good enough? The vast majority of us believe that we're not good enough. And we also believe that that helps us. And this is where you and I disagree. I believe that that the belief that you're not good enough, you need to get better, not only does it not help you, but it hurts you in a significant way. But we are a culture that does not believe that. Okay? I can't tell you how many practices I've been together and you huddle up for the practice and the coach or someone says, let's get better today. So what I'm saying is I want you to really dig into that. What does that mean? If I tell you you need to be better, do you feel accepted or rejected by me? You're not good enough right now, you need to be better. How's that working for us? We don't want to give this up. We fundamentally believe it's the desire to get better that makes us better. And what I'm saying is, the desire to get better is not what makes you better. What you do makes you better. Okay? When you believe that you're good enough and that you're whole and complete, and you find something that you love to do, you're going to want to do it. And because you found something that you love to do, and you do it day after day after day, that's how you get better. You develop a skill. And we think that by telling people that they're not good enough, that helps them get better. We've done a ton of research on this, and that's not the case at all. In fact, what we have found out now, if you're a parent, if you're a leader, if you're somebody's good friend, if you're somebody's partner, the way that you speak to the other person changes their neurochemistry. Did you know that? Did you know that by the way that you speak to yourself and by the way that you speak to other people, that it's not just words, that we know now through science that you actually change the chemistry of the brain. And it's a very simple process, okay, and I'll show it to you. I'm going to give you Neuropsychology 101. The brain is made up of cells, and the cells are called neurons. And what's interesting about brain cells is they don't touch. Did you know that? That the neurons in your brain, they don't touch. There is a space called a synapse. And the way your brain works is that inside of this long cell is an electrical current, just like electricity that runs through your house. And when this electric current gets to this end, there's these little nodules, and there are neurochemicals in there. Things like dopamine, serotonin, norepinephrine, okay? If you or anybody you know takes, say, Prozac, Prozac is a specific serotonin reuptake inhibitor. What does that mean? It means that it keeps the serotonin out here in this, out in the bay, if you will, so that it can move quicker. So we know that when people have serious psychological problems, whether it's being anxious, depressed, psychotic, what we know is that these chemicals get messed up. And so the drugs that we take simply saying to you, if my message to you every day is, Kevin, you're not good enough, you need to be better, okay? You're still not good enough. I'm affecting your brain's ability to function, if I matter to you, okay? Exactly. And I'm so glad you said that. There is what the other person says, but it's not nearly as important as what you say. So what I'm saying is, we had the word balance up here, but I want you to pay attention to, in your conversation with yourself, for every time you tell yourself, hey, good boy, good girl, you're good enough, how many times do you say, oh, you're terrible, you're stupid, I can't believe you did that, you're an idiot? What do you think the balance is with you and your own inner dialogue? From every encouraging thing you say to every criticism. What would most of you say? What is the,
9 to 1.
9 to 1 what?
The negative, you're done.
Okay, so you're saying on the negative side you got 9, and on the positive side you got 1. What about the rest of everybody?
Well, it fluctuates depending on.
So what would you say your norm is if we did like a week average?
I'd say 70-30.
So how many of you would say, I'd probably say more critical negative things versus positive? Honestly. Yes, most of us. But
But
what I'm saying,
cycles, so there's, it depends on what you're doing. If you're in the mode and you're doing well, then it's.
how many of you would say, I think I'm a lot more positive than I am critical of myself? You're the minority. But here's what's interesting. Those of us that are critical of ourselves, we have convinced ourselves that this helps me. Right? And I'm going to be critical of you and I'm going to tell you you're not good enough because this is going to help you. There's no science for that to suggest that at all. You were taught that. Okay? By someone who you love and probably loved you when you adopted that. But what I'm saying now is we're at the place now with the science where what we understand is the physiological impact of this you ain't good enough is huge.
Did you happen to notice the 3 hands that went up positive, 2 of those 3 are entrepreneurs?
Yeah.
God, awesome.
Right. But here's the other part of it as a leader. If your primary message to yourself is, I'm not good enough, I need to do it better, what do you think your primary message to the people around you is? If I see myself as fundamentally not good enough and broken, and I need to get it together, how do you think I see you? The same or different? The same. The same. When I was coming along as a psychologist, I worked in a child psychiatric facility, then I worked in an adolescent psychiatric facility. And I was at the time still single and I had no children. I got a 19 and a 17-year-old family. And I just had this fundamental belief that all parents love their children. Because that was just a given for me. And during the week, the kids who were in the hospital, these teenagers, they seemed, usually after I sat with them a day or two, I think to myself, why is this kid in the hospital? There's nothing wrong with him. She's fine. But then a wonderful thing happened on Sunday afternoon. You know what happened on Sunday afternoons at the adolescent psych hospital I worked at? Visiting. And who came? Mom and Dad, the whole family. And what I realized is if you're raised by someone who thinks that you're not okay, that you're not good enough, you're probably going to end up with that same belief about yourself. And let me tell y'all, that is a very, very difficult thing to change. That fundamental belief about self, am I good enough or not, is a very difficult thing to change. And the other thing is like a virus, you pass it on to the next generation or to those people around you. Okay. And yes, people get really mad at me because I suggested them that they're good enough. You didn't like the fact that I like to get better. I just, the part of me is like, come on, man, you're supposed to want to get better. What I'm saying is when you tell people who don't think that they're enough, they will get mad at you and they will write you off. Isn't this interesting? That once we develop a belief about ourselves, whatever it is, even if it's destructive to ourselves, people will fight you tooth and nail to keep it. Because part of the deal is I don't want to be wrong. What I'm saying is I want you to be comfortable with being wrong about yourself. If you're telling me that you're really serious about getting to the next level, be willing to be wrong. In other words, I want you to look at your belief system and say, I've believed this my whole life. Why? Where did I get this from? How is it affecting me? You know, with golfers, I spent the last day with Shauna, who was earlier, the women's golf coach, and I work with the guys too. You know, these golfers, they go to these great golf teachers, right? And you pay them a bunch of money, and what you do is you spend a couple of days and they just pick your swing apart, okay? And invariably what I see is when these golfers come back, they can't hit the ball anymore. And I'm talking about kids that are scratch golfers, okay? Because they come back thinking, I need to work on my swing. And what I find is once a kid believes my swing is good enough, I can play with this, I can move with it, everything changes. And you're just freed up to be you. But we really fight to hang on this thing. No, I gotta get better. You remember when you were a kid, you know, 10 or 11, 12, and you want to grow and you want to get bigger, right? Remember that? You want to be big? Y'all remember that? How did that happen? How did you do that? Did you grow and get bigger because you wanted to? No, it just happened. It's a natural process. This thing called growth, development, maturation, it's a natural process. You don't have to mess with it. It's kind of like water going downhill. It's going to happen on its own. Whether you like it or not, every 7 years your body's going to regenerate a whole new body, with the exception of a couple of cells in your heart and your brain. Did you know that? Whether you like it or not, right now cells are falling off of your body at an alarming rate. That's how a dog can track a scent. There's actually pieces of you, as you're sitting here talking to me, pieces of your body are falling off. Did you know that? And at the same time, your body's creating new pieces as you sit here. How does it do it? Because it's designed to do that. When you stick a seed in the ground, if you put it in fertile ground and it has water and it has sunlight, what's going to happen? Why? Huh? That's what it's designed to do. But what I'm saying is the same is true for you. The main problem most of us have is that we interfere with our own natural process of growth and development. We don't trust it. Right? We have to manipulate it. If I just leave, the fear is if I just leave me alone, I'll just become a loser. You know, I'll just become this terrible person. I got to stay on me. Right? You see some of these parents, right? They're just all over their kid, right? Every minute of the day, what are you doing? They're constantly on the kid. And the belief is if I don't stay on the kid, then they're going to, you know, start, you know, taking drugs and drinking and having babies, and we got to stay on these kids. Right? You know folks like this. Maybe some of you are this way. My kid, when she was in high school, she called me up and she's a junior in high school. We never had a conversation about curfew. My whole deal was just make good decisions about yourself, because we live in a society that if you don't make good decisions, you lose your ability to make decisions and other people get to make them for you, right? When you go to jail, you don't have a lot of choices. So you lose the ability to make decisions. You make good decisions and you get to keep making decisions. So she calls me up at 10 o'clock at night and says, what time is my curfew? And I said, well, what time do you think it should be? You're a smart kid. And she says, 11:30? I said, works for me. What time did she show up? Before 11:30. And some of you are going, no, that doesn't work that way. Right? A lot of times when we as authorities tell somebody what to do, we say, well, I'm going to do you a favor and tell you how to do it. I'm going to tell you how to do it because I love and care for you. Is that why we tell somebody how to do it? You follow me? What if we said, just go do the best you can? Okay? I trust you. You're a hard-working guy. You're acting in the best interest of the company, right? You're not trying to put us out of business. Go do the best you can. What would happen if we did that to people? Yeah, but what would they do? Would they go screw it up?